Hola, hola, mi gente. It's yours truly, the Kaizen Investor. I am super excited to be here tonight with the wonderful Coach Ham of Parham Intelligence. We are talking about some deliciousness about emotions and money. So let me bring her on. Hello, hello.
Hey, what is going What is going on?
I am wonderful.
So
How are you?
Amazing. I'm super excited about tonight. We're about to spill a little bit of tea and talk about some things.
I'm excited. So for the people who don't know, Coach Ham, what do you do? Who are you and what do you do? Why are you so awesome?
So I am officially reintroducing myself. My name is Ayana Brody Parham, and I'm the CEO and owner of Parham and Associates. We're actually a coaching firm that turns minions into grooves. So if anybody's ever seen Despicable Me, I'm talking about those cute little tater tots and denim overalls because I have a kid. I was watching it nonstop. And the one thing that kept on speaking to me was like, you know what? Gru, for him to be a villain, he was nonstop. It was by any means necessary. He literally just kept going no matter how much he failed, what he did, he just kept trying. So the firm basically built Gru into the ideal person. I wanted to turn those who are employees into employers. In order to do that, we had to start working on those softer skills. We had to slightly refine just the skills in terms of your emotional intelligence. And I know a lot of times people are like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
That is your self-awareness, your self-perception. Because I know the old saying is, perception is everything, right? Not necessarily in business. So that's literally what our firm does. We're working to refine your soft skills. So when you become the CEO, if you're not already a CEO, or you're starting to move up in your 9-to-5 company in some form of leadership capacity, that's exactly why we're here. So that is literally who I am, my firm is, and look how we can get started. I'm super excited. I absolutely love this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, wait, this sounds super basic to me, okay?
Okay.
So, let me take that back. How do you go about coaching emotional intelligence? Like, what's that all about?
So we usually end up having just these conversations, right? Like what you and me are doing. We have a bunch of sessions and we start to figure out exactly for the individual, whether they are the business owner of a small business or they're CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or better yet, they're a government employee like yours truly. We start having the conversation early of what it is that you really want to work on. And I realized that with my actual 9-to-5, they didn't have proper leadership development. They just didn't. They were kicking out old school rhetoric. The program was either half choppy or wasn't even given actual content to be like, you know what? You do have some trust issues. So how can you lead if you don't trust your people to do what they said they're going to do? Or if you're a worrier and you're constantly worrying about the next thing, that's literally going to associate with burnout. So what do we need to do to start fixing it? Or better yet, think about like your big time bosses. They're always so busy. That's literally a fear of committing that they right. So it's all of that, right? That busyness that you always see someone wrestling back and forth. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. It's a lack of commitment. So that's literally what we do. We start to hone in on, I don't even like to call them weaknesses. They're areas of opportunity. So that's exactly what we do. We'll hone in on your strength. We'll make sure we boost those up 5,000%. In the areas that you are actually need a little adjusting, then that's what we'll do. Because if I know that within 3 to 6 months, you want to do X, Y, and Z, that's exactly what we're going to do. I tell people straight up, I'm a pusher. I'm from Jersey. Look, I keep it 100.
I love it.
I'm very transparent. We'll have a good time. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me there's a goal, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to get it done. But I do want to make sure that for emotional intelligence, this is the heart of the person. This is the heart of the matter. This is who you are at the end of the day. So if you took out all of your titles, whether you're CEO, CFO, you're a manager, whatever it is, if the underlying portion of you is not right, nothing else will be. Like, simple as that. So yeah, girl.
That's so true. That's so very true. Shout out to my brother Raphael husband. He said it. He said from minions to grew. I love it. You know, that's good.
Yes.
We need to put that on a t-shirt.
Girl, yeah. And it's funny. Yes. So GREW is actually an acronym for Great Leaders Rising Up.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep.
I like it a lot. And shout out to Parental Wealth.
Yes.
Nowza, previous guest. So, okay. So the premise of the show tonight, now I have to get into this. The premise of the show tonight was the whole idea of emotions and money, right? Now, for my audience, mi gente here, majority of them are business owners, small business owners, those transitioning. How much do our emotions play a part in our actions, especially when it's related to money?
Everything. Like, I don't think people realize so much that your emotions is what's going to be the make or break of how your business runs. So just think about the person that is so temperamental. They always got an attitude, horrible customer service, you know, constantly is short with people. They want to get stuff done, but they just don't know the proper way to do it. That all really goes back to the whole of the person. So if you have low self-regard, which is another form of self-confidence, and that's in the toilet, how are you supposed to either boost your employees if in the back, at the end of the day, you're like, all right, that didn't go well. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It just doesn't make sense. So your money is always going to be tied up in how your emotions are. So you have to always have that first step forward every single day to make sure, are my emotions in check? Am I doing what I need to do so I don't mess up my money? Because I know you, me, and everyone else, the worst thing you could do is mess up a Black woman's money because your attitude is funky. like, let's just call it what it is. Don't mess with my money. But in order to do that, you need to start checking yourself. That's at the heart of the matter.
That's so very true. Someone just said here, yes, because I am sad. Buying shoes to make me feel better. It's true. It's true. Emotional buying, things like that. It's all related to money. But the thing is, and that's why I'm so happy to have you on the show, Coach Ham, is it's okay to a degree when it's just your own personal finances, to a degree. That's another conversation in itself. But that expands if you don't control it and can be detrimental when you're running a business.
Yeah.
Or when you are trying to make the proper investments for yourself.
Absolutely.
So like how? No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, girl. I was like,
yeah. So Coach Ham, coach us through this. How can we maintain clear-headed when we're dealing with financial challenges, i.e. 2020?
Girl, you know what? Just get a whole hefty bag and throw 2020 right away. Don't even recycle it. Just straight trash and send it out to the sea. So we're talking the beginning of the process. So literally we're having to start like the low of low. So, I mean, what I end up doing with most, if not all of my clients, I give them this quick assessment, takes 20 minutes just so I can see where you are mentally at this point. Because you know what? It's so much easier to say, oh, I'm good. But are you though? Or better yet, oh, I got that covered. But do you? So when you start looking at those results, I mean, these results are crazy accurate. You would think that this computer just telling me all this stuff. No. How we end up doing is we use those results to have a starting point and a trajectory to go up. Like that's the only way we're going to do it. So when we talk about the beginning part of a business, because let's be honest, those first 5 years of grinding is so hard that meditation, like you're going to have to do everything to make sure that burnout does not become the end stage of you, your business, or your vision. So what is it that we actually need to do? I'm talking about take that extra time. Nothing's wrong with a little retail therapy. I mean, why not swipe? Yeah, we don't need just a little bit. But what I do need is for people, or better yet, my grooves, to take the time, get out, get some air, have a group of anybody's that is basically aligned with your vision, that they're going to literally sharpen that iron. That's exactly what we're here to do. So if you're saying, look, parental wealth has this, natural legacy has that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to codify exactly what we set out to do in the vision. Now, granted, it's going to be some hard stages because Lord knows I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt. But I really do just want to get for all of our clients, just the heart of the matter of saying, look, I understand this year was crap. So what are we going to do in 2021? How do we get over just the mental portion of being stained? I mean, let's be honest, the last 4 years, I've still got the shakes and the shivers from whoever lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Okay. Man. So we just need to be able to find other ways. And I always have told people, like, look, if iron is sharpening iron, you need to make sure that vision is so strong that nothing is going to stop. It just can't.
Then at what point do you think you have to lean more on resilience and skill set in order for you to maintain that momentum and strong mindset?
So we talk about balance a lot of times. And I think being able to do both is priority. Like, actually, it's primal. That resilience is what's going to start to take your business into another level. And that's how you're able to leverage some of your assets, also your resources. Some of the hardest things that we've ever had to do, probably within the last 6 months of dealing with just 2020, is making sure that we continue to push forward. And I understand that it is the hardest thing, which is why we always have said, like, you know what, I'm going to be brazen. I'm going to be just completely, right? I'm going to be all in. And what does that mean? So for those who have not necessarily been following me or really have an idea of who I am, this entire month, we've been talking about the ABCs of leadership. And so we've been going through the entire just cadre of what does it mean to really be a leader? And if we're going to start investing our money, why not invest it in ourselves? It's so much easier for us to do clothes, shoes, whatever. But I really say, take that time, get yourself together, because if you're right, your business is right. Simple as that. We don't need to go too deep in it, but it's like, look, if you jacked up, your business and your money is going to be super funny. So what is it that you need to work on? Self-confidence, being a leader, a little less aggressive, just how do you talk with people? Do you have an issue with just dealing with stress tolerance? I mean, we cover the entire span of emotions from up to down, left to right, just to make sure that our grooves are strong enough to be able to withhold all of the stuff that's going to get thrown at them. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get hit with a bunch of stuff, but I need you guys to be strong enough to deal and to stand firm.
And on that note, we're ending. No.
We'll check you out, guys, January 2021.
It's so true, though. It's so true. It's so very true. It really, really is. So I'm going to ask the obvious question. What is the first baby step that someone can do to get started when they have to do that deep work in order to prep themselves to get their minds right for 21?
Girl, that alhamdulillah. I mean, that all of that, like, you're going to have a come to Jesus moment. So one of the smallest things that we started to do was say, you know what, let's make a list. What had worked for us in 2020 and what didn't work? And we're even talking about just on an emotional level. Like, I know everyone's anxiety has been through the roof, including mine. So how do we create balance in a stressful world? Or how do you even just create just some form of peace in the middle of chaos? So we just started saying, look, make a list of what works, make a list of what doesn't work, and start to check out the balancing. Is one a little bit higher than the other? And if not, what is it that you need to really do? So if you know you're horrible at dealing with stressors, okay, so I'm gonna start challenging you. Deal with people who get on your last nerve, because you're gonna have to fix it. It's easy to say, I'll work on it without being put in scenarios. So, I mean, life is the best experience you'll ever get. So for those who have anger problems, be around that most annoying, sniffly Karen that's in the office, just constantly, I don't have no cold. Okay. Challenge you. Stand by her or in her presence for at least 15 minutes a day and work on dampering down the emotion. Because I'm telling you, that anger starts spewing out in totally different ways. And then next thing you know, you start getting labeled. So that's the one thing we like to do. I want to knock off the labels so you can address the emotion.
Ooh.
Ooh, mm-hmm.
That's a whole book by itself.
Girl.
That's a whole book by itself. Good night, Coach Ham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Labels and emotions. That's going to be December, January.
Am I breaking up?
Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. And I'm back.
Yeah.
The internet's being so petty tonight. All right, and we're back.
Cool.
So, I know Raphael says Gia the brazen investor. That's cute. That's cute. I love that word brazen. I love that word brazen. So, okay. So here we are. And I want to ask you this though. In what ways can someone learn how to be more self-aware? Because here's a challenge. And here's my mission, honestly, on my own platform, is to dispel the myths and the woo-woo of personal development so it can get really granular and clear so people are able to learn what are vital skill sets they can have in their pockets for when times get rough, right? So people say things like, oh, you need to have a strong mindset. Oh, you need to have a resilient mindset. Oh, you have to be self-aware. But no one really goes in depth in explaining what self-awareness is. So let's just start there. Coach Ham, what is self-awareness?
So self-awareness is literally the one thing that is basically going to be your core. Like it is your perception of who you are. It's your embedded just persona. Like who is this person? So for me, I know that I am a very strong individual from New Jersey, but I also know that I'm also semi-emotional and also semi-sweet person as much as I try to play off I'm a thug. But the biggest thing when we talk about just self-awareness is how does my actions affect those around me?
Ooh.
What do I need to do or what do I not need to do to not either jack up my entire circle, because, you know, there's always levels and layers to the circle, but also making sure that if I realize that my self-awareness is not, I guess, up to par, if you will, then we need to start talking about some things. So what are your strengths? Or better yet, what are your weaknesses? And how do you transform them into strengths? Or better yet, what are you good at that you can leverage for the long run? Like these are the small things that we basically start on day one to start addressing. Like, okay, give me a list of things that you like about yourself. You know, I'm super ambitious, you know, I'm great, I'm funny, I love that stuff. Okay. Send me better yet, tell me the things that you don't like about yourself. Well, I'm self-confident, I don't like this, I don't like that, you know, I get easily annoyed, agitated, anger, yada, yada. Okay. So out of the negative emotions that you just described, how do you leverage those into strengths when you're dealing with people? So literally, if you have an anger issue or you get easily upset, how do you transform that into a strength? This is being self-aware. Like I know that I possibly may have a short fuse. How do I deal with that type of environment when everyone in my office, I basically know they're not the smartest? And it's not to say that, you know, I'm the best, but how do you deal with that? Like that's self-awareness, being aware of how your emotions affect everyone around you, whether it is in business or if you're at home. Because I guarantee somebody at your house is like, nah, bruh, she's saying one thing. And in the background, she's like, that's a lie. She's not that cool. She's not that kosher. Nah, homie, no. So that's literally what self-awareness is, making sure that you're honestly being honest with yourself. Because I can't be like, you know what? I just love love. Nah, I can't stand people. Yeah, like, let's just call it really what it is. Let's keep it 100. I know that there's a couple of things that I'm not necessarily be a fan of, but I know that's for me. Like, I know that's what I need to work on. So that's self-awareness, like in a quick nutshell.
That's a solid nutshell.
Woo! Okay,
that's a solid one. It is. That's a solid one. Now, here's the other thing. What have you noticed working with your clients are some challenges they have to face or work through in order to become better leaders and better business owners?
So I think the first challenge is the reality check of seeing exactly the stuff that they need to work on. Because you figure in your head, because self-perception is everything, you may think that you are truly the ish. So you're like, you know what? I'm amazing. My stuff doesn't stink, and you just can't tell me nothing. But here's the problem. What I'm seeing on these results based off of your emotional intelligence is that you have very low self-esteem. You don't deal with stress well. And better yet, you can't even shift during a transition, let alone you can't even move if there's a new priority or strategy that your business is going to ask you to do. So I think one of the biggest and hardest things is for people to kind of have that shocking moment when they see their results and they're like, wait, I'm not the ish. No.
That's sobering.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So it's funny. So the assessment, it actually grades you based off of the top 1,000 executives that have taken the test globally.
Wow.
Right. So think about if you are a business owner, you're going up against your Steve Jobs, you're going up against Bezos, you're going up against everyone just on their emotional intelligence. How are they able to create a culture that is open communication? There's no fear. All of that really comes down to just the heart of the matter. So when we talk about businesses for the owner, I think being able to have that first level of acknowledging what it is that you really need to work on, and then we start working on an action plan. We start really small, just tangible things like those SMART goals that all therapists usually talk about, but making sure that these are really going to be realistic. So if you know that at the end of the day that you're trying to own some type of conglomerate, you want to excel your business, okay, what is it that you really want to do? If you're going to tell me that you want to be the type of boss that creates an open atmosphere for creativity, but you still are leaning on, or you're leading in fear, or you're driving a lot of your people to be fearful. How is that countering, right? How is that countering what you said you wanted to do?
Oh my,
yeah.
What I don't know is that I'm getting a free coaching session right now with Coach Ham.
Right. It's real. Like,
I don't know.
When I tell you some of my biggest clients, I'll literally, first thing I'll ask them, what is your vision? What is it that you really want to do? Well, I want to be able to make sure that I have an open door policy and I'm really comfortable and people could come to me with their issues. But when people actually come to you with their issues, you think they're a threat because they don't agree with you or because they don't understand your vision. You now feel threatened. So you become shut off. You no longer talk and you pretty much have barricaded yourself in your office. Yeah. Like I've had to work through that type of client, honey.
And I've had that as a previous boss years ago. Yeah.
Let's not get started on them bad bosses.
Yeah. But no, we need to talk about no.
Yeah.
And I challenge everyone here in the chat. Hey, everybody. Hello. Hey, Byron. Hey, people. There's a lot of comments I have to catch up on. But here's the truth of the matter, though. We need to go back and think about those bad bosses or those bad managers. Because if you don't analyze that, guess what? That was if you haven't had any type of MBA training, that's a miniature MBA right there to understand strong leadership skills and poor leadership skills. Because regardless, and this is for everyone here, regardless if you are a business owner, we are all leaders. We're all leaders. We're leaders in our lives first.
Bingo.
Seriously. So especially when you are starting out in your business, in the intermediate phase of your business, 5 years, 10 years in, you're leading more and more and more. And the stress of how you lead is all the more important. Because if this ain't right and you're leading, like you just said, based off of fear, you're making decisions based off of fear, a fearful mindset, as opposed to an abundant mindset or a resilient mindset, that you can make a decision that could potentially be detrimental to your business and your life.
Bingo.
So it really is about making that connection.
Yeah. When I tell you the biggest thing of why P&A got started was that in the beginning of the pandemic, we were doing a lot of leadership development courses, and the job was like, yeah, we have different leadership development. So I ended up taking this training for 5 days on Zoom with this executive coach that was out of West Point. And for this military dude, I mean, he was on fire, just super excited. And he started the first day, he asked the infamous question, what about your current organization's culture do you want to change? So of course I'm writing, I'm sketching, I'm like, I don't like this, I don't like that. There's not enough minorities rising up. There's no women in these leadership positions. I'm going through it. And then I start thinking, there was never a leadership development program for entry level. I didn't know that I wanted to be a leader because no one tapped me on the shoulder, took me under their wing, and started to mold me straight out the gate. So by the time I did my 15, 20 years in, I would have been like the bomb assistant director or CEO or CFO, because literally what should have happened was, as soon as I signed my papers, I did my 6 to 9 months, got my job under my belt. I then should have started taking what EQI assessment, so your emotional intelligence test, got my first set of results. So here's a caveat, right? There's a difference between your EQ and your IQ. So your IQ stops at 18. Like once you hit 18, that's it. There's not that much growth, whatever. But your EQ grows until you're 80. That forever changes, right? So when people are saying, oh, your EQ doesn't change, it does. It changes until you're 80 years old. So you can constantly refine yourself every single time. So what we end up doing is we take the assessment in the beginning and we take it 6 months to a year later. The results are never the same. They're always like either completely opposite or they're like topsy-turvy. So the place that they were weak, they're extremely strong in. And that's exactly why P&A was created, because no one's thought to even create something for someone that said, you know what? I actually want to be a leader, but I don't know how. So they give a bunch of classes. They have old folks come in and talk to you about some stuff that makes no sense. It's not culturally relevant. It doesn't actually transition to an action plan. And there's no one holding me accountable. So of course, I start walking around my human resource and I'm asking questions like, do you have a leadership development program that targets those who are starting off in their careers and then kind of just walks them through the rest of their career while tracking their progress? Everyone that I spoke to, including executives, said, that's a great idea. But no, we don't have that. Or better yet, if you're in the government section, that's expensive and we don't really afford that. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So then outside of my frustration, I was like, you know what? I'm going to build this program around y'all because you don't want to build it in here. I'm going to build it around. So literally P&A was birthed out of the simple fact that no one was taking minions and shifting them into what grooves should be.
I need you to put that on the mug, please.
Done and done. Merry Christmas, y'all. Y'all about to get some Groove swag bags.
Yes, please. And you know what? Raphael said it his best. He says these companies give very little thought to leadership development. And that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, when you talk about most of your big picture companies, your Booz Allen, they will spend about 1.5 million in every other training for IT, for managers, but leadership development is usually 23% of the time a priority. It's just not. Even when I talk to just folks that I know out in just their everyday, corporate or medical, they're like, there's no leadership development. And the ones that I want to be able to bring on, the one biggest issue is funding. They're like, well, we can't afford it. I'm like, but that's sad, because if your business is people driven, and let's just be honest, every business is people driven.
It is.
It is like IT, you're people driven. So if you're not focusing on the people in which your driving force is to make sure products and processes is getting done, then how can you keep them for the long term? And let's be real. Millennials within 5 years are constantly changing jobs.
Yes,
gone. Like as soon as they see number 2 year, they'd be like, look, y'all, LinkedIn, boop, open, ready to work. Year 3, if nothing came up that they wanted to do first, USA Jobs, boom.
Yep.
And then companies are wondering why there's such a high turnover rate. Because literally the culture that you created doesn't keep us. And then it makes it even worse because the boomers are now the leaders and they're already intimidated. They're tired, they're overworked, they're overly processed, and they're understaffed. But they don't know how to actually lead because what happened, like most people, they either failed all the way to the top and they don't know what they're doing, or they found some loophole to bring them and 10 of their friends. So now you end up with these sucky managers in these high-paying jobs that don't know how to be people-driven and then purpose-driven on top of it. Next thing you know, you just got processes and then people out the door. Girl, I know.
I need a drink. Like I need something stronger than water for that.
And I know everyone sees that daily. Yeah, it's not. And it's so frustrating when you see people that should not even be in leadership positions.
Yeah.
It's like, how, Sway? How did you get here? I don't even want to take a page out of your book. Yeah. I just want to know, how can I take your job? That's it. But I want your job. Like, you're my motivation to snatch your job and show you what you're unable to do. Girl. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Right.
Oh, I wish you could see the comments here. People are agreeing. There are people testifying and amening in the comments over here.
Preach.
True.
Yeah, it comes literally down to that whole person. And I think it's the hardest thing when people are like, you know what? I want to be a leader, but I don't even have some of the basic skills of just leading from where you are currently. Like, I don't need to manage people to be like, you know what? I see a vision. I want to create an atmosphere for which people can launch. That's what our firm is literally about. We create an atmosphere, launch, and you go. Be creative. I want to make sure that if people are saying that they want to create some type of, I won't really say environment, where people can fail freely. I don't know about y'all, but I've never been able to fail without fear. And especially for those who are African-American women or minority women.
We don't have that luxury.
You don't.
That's a luxury.
No, there's no failure at work. If anything, you need to be 10 steps ahead. And then for someone else to be what? The bare basic? They got typos in their papers. Yep. You know, they ain't getting nothing done. You're like, oh, I'm doing all of this. For what? Yeah, girl.
So let's go back here because you touched on something that I really want to delve into because I can't wait throughout the entire month of December. That's what I want to focus on. Or one aspect is leadership, what leadership looks like. Because traditionally, okay, I want to get to that comment. Someone left a paragraph over there. I'll get to you. Got it. In the comments over here. But here's my thing for you. We have this idea or this very limited box idea of what a leader should look like and how a leader should act. However, I want to ask you, what are the core elements of making a good leader? If a good leader was a recipe, what are some key elements that need to be involved to be a good leader for yourself and also for your business?
Okay, so we're going to add a little sauce, just a little bit of salt.
And I'll get back to that comment over there.
Right. So let's talk about baking. Now, of course, there's always proper measurements. So when we're talking about the ideal leader, not the perfect, but the ideal, they're authentic, they're brave, they're compassionate, they're driven, they're energized. Not necessarily empathetic, but they're energized. You're going to need somebody that's going to be able to push you when no one else does. Whether they push you through action or push you through their vocal. And one of my best bosses I've ever had has always managed to push me and never really tell me. I've just watched him and I got super energized. Matter of fact, I got re-energized. I'm like, dang, I want to be like you when I grow up, sir. Right. And then also fearless. understanding that, yes, there's some type of fear that comes into playing the long game, because remember, that's not sprint. Like, this is a marathon.
Yeah.
So being able to be completely and totally fearless and knowing that you're going to take on some of the rougher parts of just personalities, because personality is what drives most companies.
Yeah.
So we're starting to talk about all that. And then also having just this zealous aura about themselves. Like, they're just calm, cool, collected. And even though on the inside they're freaking out, they're calm. Like, that is what the ideal leader is. So it's funny that you said that. So literally, we've been talking about the ABCs of leadership, about what does it mean to be authentic? Are you taking on parts of other people's personalities and kind of meshing it in with yourself? Or are you pulling from different leaders that you've admired, you've strived to become, and you're saying, you know what? I want to be that type of person. Like, I want to create an open line of communication. I want to overly communicate, because I know most managers, they don't tell us what's going on behind those glass doors. I don't never know what's in half of those meetings. And for all I know, at the end of the day, they're doing some money move stuff. They don't tell the worker bee. And then we find out in a memo that everybody got laid off.
Yeah.
It's like, why not prepare your people for doing what it is that you need them to do? So you're overly communicating. You're expressing gratitude. Shit, that's a big thing.
I know. That's huge. That's huge. What people don't recognize with that, though, is that they could save money if they just express gratitude. I'm serious. I mean, saving money by means of retention. A lot of people don't even want the extra money in terms of bonuses or financial incentives if you actually just acknowledge the effort of good work that they are doing for the company. But please carry on.
No, that's literally what that boils down to. And it's not having to put a big memo or email out to the group saying, you know what? Thanks, Kathy, you were awesome. But also being the type of leader that acts on the feedback that they were given. So I should be able to come to my boss and say, you know what? I've noticed, I've also heard, because my ear be to the ground, that you are overly extra. You don't take criticism very well. I'm going to need you to work on that. Right there, that leader should be like, you know what? Bet. I'm not going to take everything as a threat. I'm not going to take everything as an offense. I'm literally going to use what I've been told, and I'm going to act on it. Because the worst thing a boss can do is say, thanks for your advice, but I'm just going to keep on doing. Girl, that don't make my blood boil on an everyday thing. I need people to be able to act on it. But then also on the interim is prop up people that you know want to go into leadership positions. Challenge them. Give them actual development. Like, we brought in executive coaches to do Zoom calls with some of our people. We paid out of pocket because it was like, you know what? If you're going to pay for this because you're telling me that you see value in your people, then I'm going to make sure that value's given. I'm not going to give you a book to read. I'm going to have you sit down, open up some things, figure out some stuff so you can actually shift and transform. The worst thing to do is give somebody a proper plan and there's no process in between. Girl. Yeah. So if we were to put all of that together and make you a perfect gingerbread leader, man, that's exactly what most leaders should, I would say, aspire to, pray to be, hope to be. But in order to do that, you're going to have to do the work. And I think it's a lot easier said than done, but it starts where you are currently. I've been lucky enough on my day job to not have to manage anybody. I unofficially manage everybody, but I don't get paid to manage nobody. So I'm like, this is perfect. Yes, like, that is perfect. I want that job. I literally want to be the person say, you know what? I'm going to encourage you because I see value in you. And when the executive management doesn't, you should be able to come to me and say, you know what? This is what I really want to do. All right, let's draw out a plan. Like, I got people in my office trying to map out their life and then be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Okay, but let's talk about a couple of things that you get easily disturbed when people talk to you or ask you dumb questions. Let's talk about how you're not the most open when we talk about direct lines of communication. Let's also talk about you aren't necessarily the fan favorite in the office. How do you switch that perception and perspective that everyone already has because you basically built up your own wall? So it's literally coming back to the whole core of the person. I would not want a leader who got so much work that they need to do internally to then tell me that, oh, yeah, I'll give you some personal development. No, thank you, sir. I'm good. I'm gonna just
Pass.
yeah, I got it. I'm gonna just listen to a couple of get help self books on Audible, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wing it. But no, it's literally having to see that there is progress and purpose for people who say, you know what, I want to actually lead. And in order to do it, I have a plan. I just need someone to help me get to the steps.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
And piece it all together. I have to share this comment. This is so good.
Yeah.
Raphael said, been a few times at work that I was ready to go off on everybody, but somebody said thank you and brought me down off the ledge. Me too, Raphael.
Yes. There's nothing worse than feeling like everything you've done is not being noticed. And I'm not saying that you always have to get a pat on the back.
No.
But it's nice to at least have someone say, you know what, I appreciate you doing that. You didn't have to. I just thank you. Now it would be nice to get a little chunk of change to come with that thank you. But nonetheless, showing gratitude is probably one of the biggest things that can avoid high turnover rates in most businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude. Isn't that, how crazy is that? Say thank you, people won't quit. Right.
It's basic but powerful. It's basic but
Yeah.
powerful. And actually, Tracy said here, yes, gratitude is a priceless human connector. It is.
It is.
It
That's
truly,
what draws.
truly is.
Mm-hmm. That's what's going to draw all human beings to being human again. Mm-hmm. People forget that. And I know last 4 years has definitely shown what a lack of human connection really means. Just being that simple. Like, it's not overly dramatic. It's not overly crazy. It's just, this is exactly what it should be if you're actually connecting properly. And it's the heart of the matter.
I wanted to acknowledge this comment. Someone said here, flip my bricks. He said on G sounds like the Postal Service. They handpick people that they think will be the yes people and not people that can really think for themselves. Yeah.
Facts.
Poorly selecting people for leadership roles. Yeah.
Oh man, every business does it. Right. And the problem is most people don't want yes men. They say they don't, but at the end of the day, they're like, you want somebody to do your bidding. So for those new like 2021 leaders, those are leaders that I'm working with to be like, nah, sway. I'm about to tell you exactly about yourself. You're not going to like it, but you're going to deal with it. And then you're going to act upon the instruction that I give you. Because what I'm going to do is protect my people first before I'm worrying about the mission. And I know sometimes it's all about the mission. You got to get everything done. There's deadlines. I get that. But if your people are not protected, where is the mission if your people are gone? Hello.
And that's interesting that you say that, though, because I appreciate that for multiple reasons. Like I said earlier, if anyone is interested or in that space where they are not only leading themselves, but leading their businesses, taking note of poor leadership, taking note, like you just said, being more aware, making sure that you're investing in your people, will always lead to greater outcomes. Period. Just care. It's sad. Just care.
It's simple that sounds, and yet no one really does it. It's mind-boggling. Like, how do you decide that you want to be a leader? Because let's be honest, most people who are in leadership roles, they've presented themselves as saying, hey, I want to lead. I like people. I can do X, Y, and Z. But then they get a slew of folks and they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
They're not leading, they're managing. And there is a really big difference on both. So
actually, can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So for managing, that's the task-driven, fear-driven, aggressive side of trying to get a task done. Leading is by action, making sure that your people are going to be purpose driven forward, that I'm making sure that my people are good while the task is still getting done, but I'm also pouring into them. So I'm giving you a little bit of this. You're telling me you want to do that, so I'm going to also put on that. So you're doing all the extra to make sure that your folks are well prepared, because at some point, you as a leader, you're going to have to move to another place, position. What are you preparing your folks for? I think the biggest and the greatest sign of a leader is when your people can surpass you. Or when your people say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need you anymore. I want to tell you, when I first started coaching and then even doing executive coaching, the one big thing I've told my clients is, I need you to break up with me. I don't ever want to keep you. I'm like, that's not what I'm here to do. That's not what you're here to do. I'm good with fine tuning and refining at a later point. But at some point, I need you to break up with me so you can actually do exactly what you said you want to do. You don't need crutches. So go. And then when finally somebody dumped me, I said, that's what I'm talking about. Somebody just broke up with me. Now, granted, any other time I would have been crying in a closet listening to Adele, but not that time. I said, yes, break up, because I really need people to understand that if you're going to be have a purpose, a true purpose, right? Like, you know what the vision is, but does the vision align with the mission? And I know that's very hard sometimes when you're doing, like, really any company. Like, we're not even going to label government, private, whatever. Does your vision match your mission, but also does it match the culture? I know for the longest time, Amazon used to get hammered because their culture was horrible. You got people that are super abrasive, aggressive, long hours. Like, it looks good, sounds good, but at the end of the day, people were leaving there upset. I think that's a very hard pill to swallow if you're a leader, when you hear people say, I do not want to get up, and this is Sunday, I do not want to go to work tomorrow. Like, people's anxiety goes through the roof thinking about having to go and walk through those doors Monday morning and look at those same dry, crusty faces, knowing daggone well nothing's about to get done. Like, that is the worst feeling. Like, I hated that feeling. And I had jobs like that. Like, I dreaded it. I was like, how many times can I call out sick in a week before it becomes fraud? Right? Like, how many doctor's notes do I need to go at an urgent care so I don't have to show up? Like, and now thank God for Rona, because all I gotta do is say one sniffle and I'm out for 14 days. Like, let's just call it what it is. But I would hate for anyone to honestly say, you know what, I want to be able to be like this person, because they created an atmosphere. They created a place that I can be creative. I can be honest, transparent. I can also show vulnerability, because that's a big thing, right? And not vulnerability for me to use it against you later, but being vulnerable to say, you know what, I want to learn something new. And that also goes to the leader. Leaders have to continue to refine themselves. Every year you're constantly changing. You have to change. The times are always changing. And if you're not willing to refine or even work on some of the things that you start to notice, because once again, things always bubble up when you start pushing stuff down and you don't address it. But if you're able to start working on those, I mean, it has to be constant refinement. I mean, it's just like wine. Let it sit longer and longer. You get better with time.
True.
But also you got to act. I mean, that's literally what it boils down to.
I love that. Oh, I love that. I don't want to miss these comments here. Hello, my beautiful Christina, all the people in the chat. I had to go back to this comment. Someone says, many times leadership roles are given to hard, air quotes, workers. Just because you can work hard doesn't mean you can lead. True.
Yep. Very true. Yeah. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is a very hard pill to swallow.
Oh,
it's a very hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that one. Just say facts.
I concur. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
For someone who is starting out on their entrepreneurial journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that they should invest in when it comes to personal development?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's books, journals, podcasts, XYZ, so they can learn the basics of being self-aware, step one,
Yep.
so they can start on their journey of being a better leader, because ultimately all business owners, no matter the size,
Yep.
even if you're a solopreneur,
Yep.
you
And
are
at
a
some point,
leader.
you're going to be a conglomerate. So you might
Yes.
as well just get used to working with yourself.
Yeah, learning these skill sets gives you a heads up, because if not, I'll speak for myself with this. If not, personal development has been vital for me, because if not, then I self-sabotage.
Yep. Whew. We could talk about that for hours. The what ifs.
Shall we? Like
The what ifs. What if this doesn't work? I mean, I'll be completely transparent because I mean, we all family, right?
yeah.
So I had a business prior, and the fear for me was the what if this doesn't work? The other one
Yeah,
didn't
oh my
work,
God.
but then, what am I supposed to do if this fails?
Yeah.
Then what? So yeah, those what ifs, those are heavy. They are so heavy, which is why me and my infamous billionaire brunch crew, when we start talking about how we need to start shifting, we do the so what and what. So what this happened? What's next? What do you need to do next? So this webinar that you created didn't necessarily make the type of revenue that you wanted. How do you refine it? So when we're talking about personal development for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, all the preneurs, right?
Hustlers.
Yeah, the
Hustlers need
hustlers.
personal development too.
They should look. I tell you, the
Y'all
hustlers
in
be
it
the ones that
together.
be reading. They be the one reading. I would
Yeah.
definitely say all of it. I mean, the podcasts, the books. There's been quite a few books. Actually, I'm reading right now by Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, and that
Read
is
it, love it. Oh my God.
If y'all have not read that book, shout out to Brene. Y'all need to be reading that book right now. That is where
that book is
I'm
fire.
kind of focused on.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, like that's good. Like that's
Woo.
literally what I'm focused on right now, is being able to say, what type of do I want to be in 5 years? Not even the type of leader now. Like, what do I need to be in 5 years? Because I need to refine some stuff now. So when I end up having this multi-billion-dollar, because what we gonna claim it, this multi-billion-dollar firm, I want to make sure that no one ever leaves saying those infamous words, I got to get the heck out of Dodge. I don't want to have to come here. I literally want them to be able to walk into my office, say, you know what? I got a couple of ideas. I want to run it past you. And for me to be open and accepting them. Because one thing that most people are unable to do is give a little. Most leaders don't want to give a little because they're like, you know what? I'm the boss. You're the employee. All my ideas are right. It's like, sir, this idea is horrible. Doesn't matter. We're going to go with it. Being able to just give just a little so your people can be empowered to start making their own decisions and they don't need to run stuff by you. That is going to be the number one thing that I want to make sure all of my grooves were going to do. And that's what we've been working on. So I would say, yeah, all of it. I know that we're actually working on a webinar that should be coming soon. And it actually goes in deep about these levels of being a leader. So I've been kind of giving snippets on my IG Live. So if you haven't checked it out, it's on demand. You can go back through the pages and you can actually see there's an action plan. There's a poster there. There's an action plan that will show you. So if you're telling me that you're not as brazen as you should be, there's an action plan associated. If you're not as authentic, there's an action plan. So I'm literally giving you tangible steps that you can do to work on yourself. Actually, I had a challenge for the month of November. Pick any letter that you wanted to work on and then let me know the feedback as you're working on it and you're refining it. So, right? So I started telling people, I said, look,
did y'all see that?
Look, I was like, for some people, use your name. Take the letters in your first name, go to the alphabet and see what you need to work on. Does it match? Are you good with it? If you're good, great. But if there's some part of those letters that you're like, you know what? I still need to work on some stuff, then that's what you do. So I will definitely say that I have an email list that will give you all the updates. I'm also giving some freebies coming up as well, which will probably be the ABC to do book. So it's going to make sure that you know exactly what you have to do so you can go from minion to Gru. I got you guys. I'll make sure that everyone is set up for success. That is exactly what we are here to do. Yeah, like at all stages. So I could definitely say that we actually partnered up with another consulting firm as well, that her whole focus is working with contracts, contractors, NGOs. My biggest spiel is definitely working with the government of all levels, state, local, federal, because I already know that is the biggest thing, especially if you are in the DMV area or you're in a tri-state area. They don't have enough. I won't even say good enough. They don't have enough leadership development that's going to prepare those who are still working on themselves to start moving into different directions. So that is what we are truly here to do. Y'all better go ahead and check out them letters.
Exactly. So if you are on YouTube right now, go in the description box. Coach Ham's link is right there. Click it, sign up, because she has great goodies, like she just said. Make sure to follow her on IG. I have it right here. Anywhere else you want people to come and look for you, Coach Ham?
IG, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, I mean, just all of it, all of it. There's my link in my bio if you're in IG. I've also, for the entire month of December and also going to the new year, I've been offering free consultations. So you get free 30, right? You get free 30 minutes with me.
Consultation.
Yes, free. Everybody like the word free. Yeah, so yeah, my team and I have been offering free consultations. So it's almost like a mini speed date. Let's see if we can work together. Do I work for you? Do you work for me? Does this work? And then let's start literally building on it. But yeah, I mean, the link in the bio, call me. Let's go ahead, set up some time and figure some things out.
Awesome. And with that, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Coach Ham.
Anytime.
I can't wait to have you back on the show. Yes. So until next time, mi gente, te amo.